My wife, who has a drinking problem, wanted to have full custody of our daughter. To achieve this, she started making up false stories about me. I decided to expose her true behavior. On our daughter's 5th birthday, she woke me up by jumping on me and hugging me, calling out, "Daddy, Daddy, wake up." I'd always wanted to make my daughter happy, so for her birthday, I bought an adult-sized princess outfit to join her for a princess tea party. She was thrilled and dressed me up herself. We had a great time together, but at the end of the day, when I put her to bed, she asked me not to leave. I stayed with her until she fell asleep, but later that night, I couldn't help but cry. The truth was that my wife and I were getting a divorce, and she wanted full custody of our daughter. My wife Rachel's brother was the lawyer who represented her in the custody battle. He had never lost a case before. He took on a challenging case for a woman who had struggled with alcohol abuse and unemployment and lived in a less favorable neighborhood. She had 3 kids, and their father wanted full custody. Despite the father having a good job and living in a nice apartment, her lawyer started to discredit his case. He brought in witnesses to talk about how the mom was making positive changes and how much she cared for her kids. He portrayed her past struggles as making her a stronger and more caring parent. Against the odds, he won the case, and the mom got custody. Feeling anxious, I knew I had to fight for my daughter Lily, even though the lawyer was so good. During the legal process, Rachel lied, claiming I had a drinking problem. At the same time, she was the one who struggled with alcohol. She spun this whole story about me being this irresponsible, stumbling drunk, which was downright insulting. Then, she accused me of mistreating her throughout our marriage, an absolute fabrication. She told the court that I was verbally abusive and that I made her life miserable. None of it was true, but she had this sob story lined up, complete with fake tears. I couldn't believe the nerve she had. She painted herself as the victim as if that wasn't the most transparent act I'd ever seen. Rachel even went so far as to say that I neglected Lily, which was beyond outrageous. She made it sound like I was some negligent, careless father who couldn't be bothered to take care of his kid. The worst part was Matt backing her up. It was a betrayal I didn't see coming. He twisted every piece of evidence and every bit of testimony to make me look bad. He brought in so-called witnesses who claimed they saw me drunk or heard me, but her testimony was needed. We were sitting in the courtroom, and Lily was called to the stand. I held my breath, knowing that this could change everything. After the judge asked her a few questions, it was time for her to speak. Lily said, "I love my daddy so much. He's the best daddy in the whole world. He makes me good food every day. He reads bedtime stories every night. I want to stay with daddy." When the judge asked about her mother, she said, "Mommy loves me too, but she doesn't like to play dolls with me. She sleeps a lot, and I can't wake her up. And sometimes she gets mad and yells, but daddy never yells." Lily's innocence and honesty were heartbreaking. She didn't understand all the legal stuff, but she knew what it felt like to be cared for and loved. Her testimony was simple, but incredibly powerful, more powerful than anything I or my lawyer could have said. As Lily left the stand and came back to sit with me, I hugged her tightly and told her how proud I was of her. Her words had cut through all the lies, and I could feel the courtroom shift. This was something that Matt couldn't fake, no matter how hard he tried. It was a turning point in the case, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a glimmer of hope. The judge considered everything, including Rachel's behavior in court and Lily's testimony. Meanwhile, Rachel's desperation led her to more extreme measures. She faked injuries and claimed I was the one who injured her, an accusation so absurd it was almost laughable but also infuriating. But her lies started to unravel when inconsistencies in her stories were exposed. My lawyer played the recordings I had made of my phone calls with Rachel. In these recordings, Rachel's true nature came out. You could hear her slurring her words, yelling irrationally, and making threats. The real kicker was when my lawyer showed the photos and videos of Rachel showing up drunk to supervised visits. There she was, in front of the whole court, stumbling and incoherent, just like I'd always known she was. My heart pounded as we played the video in its entirety. I looked at Rachel while she watched herself cause a scene. She sank and tried to make herself appear smaller. Rachel's face went pale as the evidence was laid out. She tried to interrupt and explain away the recordings and the photos, but it was clear to everyone in the courtroom that her facade was cracking. The final blow came when my lawyer called one of Rachel's friends to the stand. This friend reluctantly admitted that Rachel had a serious drinking problem and had often confided in her about how she felt bad at times for manipulating the court case. She even mentioned how Rachel had laughed about turning my parents against me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but at the same time, it was the confirmation I'd been waiting for. The courtroom was silent as the weight of this testimony sank in. Rachel's lawyer, her brother Matt, looked visibly flustered for the first time. He tried to regain control, but the damage was done. The judge looked at Rachel with disapproval, something I had been longing to see. Rachel started to lash out, making desperate attempts to deny the evidence, but her stories were too inconsistent. She kept getting caught up in lies. She claimed the recordings were fake and that the photos were staged, but her points were weak and desperate. The judge took a moment and said that the evidence presented had shown a pattern of instability and dishonesty that could not be ignored. It was like music to my ears. Rachel's lies were unraveling right before her eyes, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. For the first time, I felt a bit of hope that Lily could stay with me. Hey there, amazing people. Get ready to smash that subscribe button on the YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to turn on notifications. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait to catch you in the next video. Stay awesome.